Good afternoon, sir, and my respected teachers. My name is NILIM BARMAN, and I am going to present our project now. That is social distancing detector using deep learning computer vision. As we are on the verge of third wave of COVID, and it might be impending nearby, so to mitigate the number of cases, it becomes necessary to maintain social distancing. Motivation: the main motive of our project is to develop a system that can be used in densely populated public places, such as malls, stations, to detect whether people are maintaining a minimum distance from each other. These information can be monitored by authority to remotely and they can take adequate measures to control crowd. Literature review: these are some articles we are inspired from. A custom model has been created with YOLO V3, which is a fully convolutional neural network. It can detect human out of all other objects. We then wrote the distance measuring function in Python using OpenCV library. The system performs object tracking on recorded or live footage from camera. This is the block diagram of the project in a broad sense. It starts from installing Darknet and using CMake for managing the build process of Darknet using a compiler independent method. We no longer need to maintain separate settings specific to any build environment. This generates a Microsoft Visual Studio solution. Then we load the dataset, train it, compute the pairwise distances. In short, we have three main tasks after setting up the environment: detection, tracking, and distance measurement. The first is detection. Here's a photo of a car. We aim to predict a class of the object and the bounding box specifying the object location. Each bounding box can be described using four descriptors. These are center of the bounding box, width, height, and value C, which is the class of the object, such as cars, humans, etc. In addition, we have to predict the PC value, which is the probability that there is an object in the bounding box. In YOLO, our image is split into cell, typically using a 19 into 19 grid. Each cell is responsible for predicting 5 bounding boxes, so we arrive at a large number of 1800 bounding boxes for one image. Most of these cells and bounding boxes will not contain an object. Therefore, we predict a value PC, which serves to remove the boxes with low object probability. And bounding boxes with the highest shared area in a process is called non-max suppression. Next is tracking. After detection of the person class, we need to track them. We will assign a new ID to every detected person, draw a box over the person, and measure the centroid. For example, here two persons are detected. In the next frame, both the person moved to a different location indicated by yellow color. Also, there is a completely new person detected over here. Now, the method to identify that these two are same person from previous frame is we calculate the Euclidean distance from every old centroid to every new centroid. The closest pairs will be considered as the same person. So in the final part, we can see same ID is given to the first two persons and a new ID is given to the third person. Now, if we cannot find an ID for consecutive 50 frames, we will deregister the ID from our array. Next part is distance measuring algorithm. To measure the distance, first we need to find the focal length of the camera. For that, an object is placed at a known distance from the camera. From the formula, if the object width is w, distance is d, and pixel covered by the object is p, we can find the focal length. From there on, we can measure any distance with good enough accuracy. This is the network design of YOLO V3. YOLO V3 uses a variant of Darknet which originally has 53 layer network trained on ImageNet. For the task of detection, 53 more layers are stacked onto it, giving us a 106 layer of fully convolutional underlying architecture for YOLO V3. The V3 make detection at three different scales. The first one is made by 82nd layer. For the first 81 layers, the image is downsampled by the network such that 82nd layer has a stride of 32. Detection at different layers help address the issue of detecting small objects. The upsampled layers with connection to previous layer help preserve the minute features. Now this is the steps for creating deep learning based custom detector. First is dataset. We collected a large number of person class images from Google's OpenImage v4 dataset. It also contains the bounding box annotations for these objects. Next, training set is the part of the data which we train the model on. We randomly select 70 to 80% of the data for training. Then next is testing set. It is the part on which we test. We use the split train and test.py script for this. Next, Darknet. Darknet is an open source neural network framework written in C and CUDA. Darknet sets the underlying architecture of the network and uses as framework for training YOLO. Then we modify code to save files regularly in order to monitor the progress closely. We use Visual Studio Code for all the editings. Next is annotation, and that represents data annotations that represents the bounding boxes. Now, when we train, it is a good idea to leverage existing models trained on large data sets even though it may not contain our object. This is called transfer learning. Then the next step is configuration parameters, augmentations, training. These involve keep changing the parameters and testing so we can find some suitable combination that works best for our project. The most important thing is when to stop training. We do not have a precision monitoring system that can give us the best point with highest precision, so we do it manually after the loss has reached a some below threshold. This is the flowchart for YOLO, which shows the process that I have just described. Training the model is a very time consuming process, so we mostly do it overnight. During the whole process, there are multiple saving points, so if the system crashes in between, we can continue from the last saved wait file. This is the graph generated from our training. A good model can be obtained with a minimum loss of 2. As we can see, the line drops significantly at the beginning. That means at first, the learning speed is very rapid. As it checks more and more images, it learns less from each iteration. Finally, the graph flattens, but we need to check for overfitting. It might become too comfortable on the given data and will not perform well on new data. These are images from our result videos. We can see that it is detecting people and calculating the distance between them. Future scope. In the future, with advancements on deep learning, we can do much more than just detecting people. The system can be enhanced with body gestures analysis to understand if an individual is coughing or sneezing in public area. Also, IR thermometers equipped with thermal screening to detect high body temperature of the people. Conclusion. In conclusion, in this project, we developed an architecture to help ensure individuals' protection by automatically monitoring public places to avoid spreading of COVID or any such diseases that we may encounter in the near future. We have seen the devastating effects of just one virus. There is no guarantee that the world will not encounter another deadly microbe in the future. So we need to be prepared in every possible way to ensure maximum safety. Now I would like to show a video description of our project. The project actually starts from Darknet. We install Darknet and use CMake for managing the build process of Darknet using a compiler independent method. Now this is the file YOLO v3.cfg that handles different parameters during the training process. We need to rearrange these parameters according to CPU hardware available. For example, the max batches, this indicates how many times per training it will go through the data. For minimum, it should be 2000 times the number of classes we have. In our case, just one class humans, so 2000 is the limit, but we are keeping it 4000 for better results. So after changing all the necessary parameters, we save a copy as YOLO v3 custom. This is what we will use. After that, we run it using a Windows PowerShell. The process takes several hours to complete. This generates a graph. At the end of the training, we will get this graph in a similar way the one in the presentation. For convenience, we ran the social distancing program using Google Colab. It can also be ran using CPU hardware, but as Google Colab has a better GPU, it performs well. Now it is broadly divided in the program part. It is broadly divided in two parts. There is a detection function and measuring distance. So I would like to show a footage that we captured from a shopping mall. Now we will run our program using this footage. The program analyzes it frame by frame and detects the people and calculates the distance between them and provides bounding boxes on them. If they are close to each other, then they will indicate it using red bounding boxes, and if a person is in a safe distance from each other, then they will indicate it using green bounding boxes. Now I would like to show a full video how the output looks. For the most part, accuracy is good. It struggles a bit in dark environment and also in frames where people are partly outside the view. Thank you.